There's a ton of hype around Han Solo and Lando Calrissian, and whether or not they're straight or gay, lovers, friends, pansexual, bisexual, and we'll get to that. And I also really want to talk about the 1970s and how that decade created the coolest guy in the galaxy. Today, we're talking about Lando and Blaxploitation. If you enjoy geeky deep dives into movies and theme parks and cartoons, all kinds of fun stuff, make sure to subscribe if you've not, because I love doing videos like this, and I'm super excited to talk about Star Wars with you right now. So let's jump into it. But we can all probably agree that Lando Calrissian is cool, whether you think of him as the Billy Dee Williams character or the Donald Glover character. But Lando couldn't have become a character without the growth of suburbanization in the 1960s. What started in the 1950s really became widespread during the 1960s, and these rich, upper class, or even upper middle class white families were moving away from the cities into the suburbs, leaving the movie theaters within the cities to a lower class and mostly black audience. The huge multiplexes like we know today, like AMC or Century Theaters, didn't really become widespread until the 1980s, so there was a huge 10-year gap where most people were still going to the inner city movie theater that only had about one or two screens. And movie studios knew that to keep the film industry afloat, they needed to make films that would appeal to people living close to these movie theaters, these lower class African American audiences. This was a time before Blu-rays, DVDs, VHSs, and so really if a movie was going to be made, it was only going to make money at the box office, not at any sales later on, and merchandising for films wasn't really a huge popular thing yet, so we weren't even seeing merchandise or toy sales for movies, so really they were counting completely on box office sales. So movie theaters decided to create urban movies for urban audiences. Starting in 1971, films like Shaft, Superfly, Cleopatra Jones, Foxy Brown became major hits. These films created black heroes dealing with urban problems like drug dealers or theft, prostitution, pimping, and they were taking part in these professions themselves. This was really huge for Hollywood, as minorities had mostly always played side characters, but this was their first chance at being the main star, at being the hero of their own film. And this was the rise of the African American actors and actresses to prominence, being taken seriously by Hollywood.
I don't claim you can have a better time with Colt 45 than without it, but why take chances?
One name taken seriously by George Lucas was Billy Dee Williams. George Lucas wrote Billy Dee Williams into the 1980 Empire Strikes Back script before the character even had a name yet. He wanted Williams as part of the film because he oozed sexuality and just seemed overall cool. After some described the 1977 Star Wars film as too white, or flat out calling it racist, because this was really during the prominence of Blaxploitation film, George Lucas decided to add Williams to the movie based on that backlash. Now, as far as the way that Lando presents himself, he's very much a Blaxploitation character. Characters like Shaft or Superfly were very flashy, wore a lot of colors, capes, expensive boots, and that's exactly how we see Lando. The way that he talks in jive, a slang that was popularized in Blaxploitation dating all the way back to the age of jazz, he doesn't really say things like jive turkey or soul sister, but the way that he uses inflections and the rhythm in which he says things is really pronounced in that jive kind of Blaxploitation style. His outfits, his speech style, and of course his space smuggler and gambler persona all lead him to be an urban character. And like Blaxploitation, Lando is a product of the 1970s, which was also the sexual experimentation decade. If the 1960s was the sexual revolution, the 1970s continued that with experimentation. Many people, and even couples, were experimenting with swinging or having multiple partners. Nothing was really off limits. It didn't matter if you were straight, gay, bisexual, whatever you want to call it. That There was no actual labeling. And this was also a point in time when gay rights just became extremely prominent. The first Pride marches happened in 1970, and by 1977, Harvey Milk was a part of the city council in San Francisco, being the first political position an openly gay man had ever had.
What we're going to do is call upon the gay community to come out now, keep the education going, keep talking one-to-one, talk to your relatives, your friends, your family, so that you can find out about gay people and shatter the myths once and for all so we can live in harmony.
All of that just leads to Lando being open. Is Han Solo? I don't know if we'll know that, but Lando, because he's a product of the 1970s and of Blaxploitation, really fits that mold. Lando lives in a space and time where being open about sexuality, being smooth and cool, having facial hair, all of that is the norm. You can have one partner, you can have multiple partners, black, female, you can dress like a woman, dress like a man, whatever you want to do. That is the world that Lando lives in. Lando, as a character, has never entered into the 1980s. He never saw AIDS and HIV. He never saw the backlash from conservative groups.
The debate about the role of promiscuity in defining urban gay maleness has been changed utterly and forever, because now gay men are dying. Gay men like you and me.
He never saw the decline of sexual experimentation. He never saw the decline of the black hero. So Lando is and forever will be a time capsule, the lingering characterization of the Blaxploitation films and the sexuality of the 1970s.
Everything you've heard about me is true.
Now living on with Donald Glover playing Lando, it seems like this may be the biggest character ever coming from Blaxploitation, and maybe one of the only time capsule pieces that we'll ever remember of the 1970s and its sexuality. So maybe I cleared up a few things about Lando Calrissian that you may not have known about, and you can better understand his presence in the new Solo film, or maybe you'll just sort of still linger on that idea of, is he into Han? Is he not into Han? Who knows? But if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have not yet, subscribe to the channel and make sure to click the bell notification so you know when we go live with new videos. Especially on Saturdays, we do a live show, so you'll want to be interactive on that. And if you want any questions answered or you have any comments, leave them down below. I'd love to answer your questions about Lando Calrissian to the best of my ability, as well as Blaxploitation film and sexuality in the 1970s. And until next time, keep on moving, people.